Welcome to the Mr. Bill podcast. I'm Bill's manager, Anand Harsh. I'm also editor-in-chief of theunst.com. Producer Robert, I'm going to do a couple of alt takes here so we can cover all our bases for this slow-moving coup that is engulfing the U.S. government right now. Just bear with me here. Okay, here's take one. Welcome to the Biden administration. It's great that we can have a peaceful revolution every 4 years to redirect the priorities of this great nation. Okay, now here's take two. Here we are, still safe and sound in Trump's America for another term. I'm so glad he and the Department of Justice were able to sniff out those hundreds of thousands of illegal ballots and remove the Democratic Republic of California and the People's Republic of Oregon from this country. The flag looks much, much better with 48 stars, sir. A nice round number. Okay, and here's take three. Ni hao to our new Chinese protectors. We're honored that President Xi has graced us with his presence and agreed to take us under his wing and that of the CCP. Bill's guest today is Matt Tytel. He's a synth designer and a game developer from Oakland. He's worked at Cakewalk and Harmonix, but now has struck out on his own with the synth Vital, which just dropped yesterday. Bill has been streaming nonstop on Twitch using this synth and is completely sold on it. He's telling me it's going to give Serum a run for its money, so you know he's serious. He's also going to have some special presets available for Vital in the near future, so make sure you're following Bill on Twitch for more info. Also, he's going to be streaming a ton now on Twitch that he can show people Ableton 11, so yeah, get excited. Speaking of video, Bill's going to have some exclusive shit going up on Patreon here shortly. You can subscribe at patreon.com/MrBillsTunes, and there are tons of other perks like early access to episodes. Finally, please head over to MrBillsTunes.com to sign up to become a hardcore Abletoneer. You get full access to Bill's project files and tutorials, access to nearly 30 sample packs, and you can see those Twitch streams when they are retired onto the site. So there's extra reason right there. All right, here's Bill's chat with Matt Tytel.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill podcast.
Hey, you are listening to the Mr. Bill podcast.
Hey, you're 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 listening to the Mr. Bill podcast. Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill podcast. Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill podcast. Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill podcast.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, thanks for doing the podcast. It's
yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. So I checked out your website earlier just to get more information about you, just because all I know of you is that you made Helm and Vital, and then just the limited amount that we've chatted on Discord.
Yeah.
But I know that on your website it says you're a developer from Boston. You make a bunch of computer-aided art and music from software-generated riffs and whatnot, and you can turn that into poetry and all sorts of stuff. And then I saw a bunch of stuff on your GitHub. There was a bunch of open source stuff there that you had.
Yeah, I guess I've hit a lot of different fields or arts, and but they all are software related. So I guess you're talking about my personal website, which just has a bunch of random art projects on it, and some less more tools like Helm is on there. But they're all hobby. That's all hobby stuff. But yeah, the computer generated stuff. That's something I've that's what I do for my hobby, I guess, is doing these. It's not purely computer generated, but it's computer aided. So I use a lot of randomization, a lot of systems that I build to make art, and then I'm basically the curator of the generated art.
That's kind of, yeah, I've actually experimented with this a little bit before, using stuff like reactor blocks and the grid in Bitwig and stuff like that, where you can kind of set up these logic gates and whatnot using the inbuilt objects
right.
that they provide you to create these kind of weird sort of random, sort of generated things, and then you kind of just become the choice maker of like what stays and what doesn't.
Yeah, that's like, I feel like the best part of making music or art for me is like deciding what's good and what's bad, and like making those decisions. I get so like caught up making like riffs and stuff. I just can't. It started with me just being like, I can't spend an hour making like a melody. So I just like would hit random until something sounded good.
Yeah, it's almost, I mean, I've thought about this a bunch too. It's almost like oh yeah, my cat's gonna hang out. It's almost like the creative process is just saying no to a bunch of shit, right? Like even if you're being very intentional about your writing and your production, you're literally just like doing things that you like may have an educated guess of like what's going to happen when you do it, but you still have to like say no to a lot of stuff. And I don't really look at it as saying yes to one thing. I look at it as saying no to like a million different things.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to like guide something. It's like, I feel like the hard part is like removing all the crap. Like, especially with like, if you use a lot of computer generation stuff, it's like, it's really hard. You're like this battle of like, I want to create a really wide range of things, but then I also want to like make sure that the computer generation is like generating mostly good things. So I don't have to listen to like millions of riffs. I can only listen to 1,000.
Give it like parameters and stuff, so it's not going to pick
so
a bunch of random stuff.
You're right. Yeah. So it's like making it hit a lot of different things, but making sure it actually produces something good. It's not just because like if you just click, just randomize every single note and its length, you can hit like every melody, but listening to all those would take forever.
Yeah. So one thing I really like to do is create those generated things that sound horrible and then try to make them sound good in context with like reharmonization and like writing a creative beat around it. Like often in my process, I'll come across something that sucks and I'll be like, all right, now let's make that work, like as the sort of God element in the tune. And then I'll sort of fit everything around that to try and make that dumb sound work or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I've done like stuff like that before, but I feel like I get really subjective after I've listened to it a few times. Like something will sound like so bad to me, and I'm like, okay, I'll listen to that a few times. But as it loops, I start hearing like more and more patterns in it, and then it starts sounding good to me. And so I feel like
it becomes familiar to your brain, and then you're more comfortable with it and stuff.
Right. So I'll start with like a really bad riff, and then I'll be like, oh, this riff is so unique and interesting at the end. But then if you show that to someone, they'll be like, this is crap.
Right. Speaking of generated melodies of like every length and note or whatever, did you hear about those people who tried to create every possible melody and then copy it to a hard drive and then copyright like all of them? So like musicians had access to them all under like an open source type system.
Yeah, I did hear about that. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if that would like hold up in like a copyright battle, but it seems like I feel like it's more like this like performance art of like, this is why, copyright sucks for like melodies, but I don't, I don't know. It'd be interesting if like that was in like a court case or something, but.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it would hold up in court. I think it'd be one of those things where if you took it to like, a music expert or a judge or something like that and played them two things and you're like, yeah, that's literally just the melody from Hotel California or something like that. You can't do that. And then they're like, yeah, but it's on the hard drive, man. It's like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing about that is they also infringed on like every song, right? So,
yeah, I mean, it's quite possible that they tried to re-copyright melodies that already existed for sure.
Right.
'Cause I doubt they listened to it. It's like 1 point something terabytes of MIDI, which is like thousands of hours of MIDI.
Yeah, I want to like do more stuff like that, but I've been pretty busy recently.
Yeah, obviously with Vital. Yeah, we should talk about that because I mean, obviously, a lot of people listening to this probably have never heard of Vital because like the few people I've talked to who are actually even like really heavy into plugins and stuff, like for instance, Tipper and Jade Cicada I introduced you to. They hadn't heard of it, and that's crazy because I mean, like, especially Skylar, Jade Cicada, he's like really on the ball with plugins. Like, he has so many weird plugins that I've never heard of, and he's always like telling me about new plugins and stuff like that. So I was surprised that he hadn't heard of it. But yeah, so you're making a synth called Vital, and it's by the time this podcast is released, it'll be out.
It might be announced. I'm not sure it'll be.
Oh, sorry, it'll be announced.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it's hard to like get all the. You don't want to get too much attention early on, so it's like you want everything to be ready. So it's partially like I'm not like pushing it too hard. It's mostly like word of mouth right now, and like mostly through Discord. Like I have like I do like all my beta testing through Discord and have like a good group there.
Yeah, a bunch of developers do that. Like Killer Hearts also do that, and I think Unfiltered Audio also do that. There's like a few companies where I'm like in Discord communities of beta testers and stuff, and it's really cool. I mean, I think it's a great way to do it because then you can like develop like directly interact with the people who are using it basically in real time, right? It's kind of like when I was first using Vital, I like sent you a message with just like my first thoughts. I was like, here's how I feel about it instantly, just to like potentially.
It's super fast. It's like, it's just like someone has a bug and I can just message them. Doing that over email, people just, people wait like a day to respond. And if you have to go back and forth 10 times, it's like, that's so. And it's good for like.
Something weird about email, right? Like where it just sits in your inbox and you're like, oh, I'll get to it later kind of, or just like mark it as unread and just sort of leave it sitting there.
Yeah. That unread number just keeps growing. And then eventually I'll just like mark it all red and feel fresh.
I think it's because there's this sort of like unspoken, I don't know, like it's like a very low pressure thing to respond on Discord because you don't need to capitalize anything. You don't need to say like, hey, at the start of the email and thanks, Bill, at the end of the email. And like, there's like this weird formality about email. I think that just makes it like a little bit more effort to deal with.
Right. Yeah. There's something about it that seems more permanent. And you have to like craft it,
right?
Like you're sent, it's how you email your professor or do a job interview or like apply for a job. But
yeah, so in that way, I think for beta testing, Discord is way better.
Yeah, and also I get to lurk on like all the other developers' Discord, so I can see like what they're doing.
Right. Cool. I also we should keep talking about Vital actually. What were your goals with it? Because you'd already made Helm, which was like pretty much a subtractive synthesizer, right?
Yeah. It was like Helm was like a kind of like a hobby project of mine it was just a big hobby project because a synth is like a pretty large project. But I basically wanted to make a professional synthesizer that, and I wanted to like really devote my time into it. And I had a few ideas of like what I wanted, like the price point is like a really big thing. I think I told you, and by the time I announce, I'll tell everyone will know, but Vital's going to be free, like the synth itself, like all the filters and all the features, but then I'll just charge for like content on top of that.
I thought that was an interesting model because it's like the DLC model, I guess, like, or the freemium model, I guess you could call it, something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting.
It's a little bit different. I think, doesn't freemium, I'm not sure if freemium means like you pay for like upgrades.
Freemium, I think that's exactly what it means. Like, for instance, with Evernote, right, like which I have open right now with notes in it. It's like you get the free version of it and then you have to like pay $3 a month or some shit to get like some extra features like dark mode and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. I guess I wanted the whole synth to be free. Like all the features, but then you just pay for like the content and the presets
and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Like wave tables.
So it's kind of like the Fortnite model of, I was like, you see Fortnite like being like the most popular video game probably right now for kids.
Yeah, for sure.
And like one of the most lucrative video games. And I'm like, I feel like there's a lot of people entering like hobby, electronic musicians. So there's like a mass of people, especially with the pandemic. It's like my downloads for Helm have like skyrocketed, and I'm like, oh, I can like maybe this is like a actual business model.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, kind of like the plugin is the advertising platform, and then do what you've done in Vital, where like you click in certain areas, like the wavetable area, and it has like a little button that says like get more wavetables from Glorklunk, for instance. Like that's a super cool and interesting thing I've never seen, I think, before in a plugin.
Yeah, it's like more effort. It's like there's so many things in the synthesizer you have to do. It's just like another thing that you have to do. It's you have to make sure it links to the store. It's just like a lot of extra effort to do that. I see why developers just pay the flat price and then you get all the content, but I think it was worth the effort to make sure that I actually make money, but also like the synth is free.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you said it took you 3 years to make or something, right?
Yeah, it's been a big project, and I write like a lot of people like license different parts of the synth, but it's not like I had a huge budget, so I had to like write everything. I had to like learn about every single piece, and I had a lot of experience from like Helm, but I had to rewrite pretty much everything from all the audio code from Helm, because like Helm is fine, like it's a good synth, but it's like it's not. There's a few things that aren't like really professional quality that I really wanted to make sure were really good in Vital. So I had to like relearn about how to make filters and do like really clean wavetables and have like much nicer sounding effects. And each thing you have to like learn how to do a reverb, and you have to like go and like spend time reading how reverbs work. And
this might be like
project.
Controversial to talk about, but like I kind of noticed with Vital, the layout and the oscillators and like everything is really close to Serum. Like in terms of just how it is did you decide that just because you're like Serum is kind of the yardstick of like good synths? Or?
I mean, the workflow is really similar, right? It's laid out in a very similar way. Like I have the same tabs, like the same organization. I mean, a lot of things are like very standard now, like with wavetables and going into filters, and then your effects section, and so that's like a really standard way. Like at a certain point, it was like when Vital was like earlier in development, it was really similar to Serum, but now like I've added a bunch of things and I've really emphasized certain things that I think really make Vital unique. Like I have this thing called like spectral wavetable warping. It's basically like the oscillator warping in Serum works like in one way.
Bend plus and bend minus and like the sync and stuff. Yeah, all
those. But the spectral warping in Vital is like does things with the harmonics. So like if you open like a wavetable and you see the wave and then you see the harmonics, which are like each frequency. You have like the fundamental and the first harmonic and the second harmonic, and it warps those around to create new sounds. So like the emphasis on that was like a big thing to like differentiate Vital from Serum and like all the other, because there's so many wavetable synths that have very similar feature set. So that was like one of the things I wanted to like really differentiate. But there's like other things, like there's the stereo modulation. I don't know if you played with that at all.
I did actually in the LFOs. I thought that was really interesting that like you turn the stereo up and it's kind of like doing a slightly different modulation in the left and right speaker.
Right, yeah. So it's like all the modulations like split, so you can like have the left control modulated one way and right control modulated another way, and you can like phase split an LFO. And that creates a really interesting effect. I've messed with that quite a bit in the patches that I was making for it. Right, yeah. So there's all these features that are like really different than Serum, but I feel like people are going to be like, oh, this is really similar to Serum because it's like laid out in a very similar way. It has like, your oscillator, like your voice page, and then your effects page, and then your matrix page, and then there's like an advanced panel.
In terms of a synth layout, is there like any sort of copyrighty type thing? Like for instance, would it be possible for Steve Duda, for instance, to kind of like trademark that specific layout, or for you, say, to trademark a specific layout, and then like no other VST creator is like able to make a synth with the same sort of outlay?
I don't. It's fortunately like audio plugins don't really have much in terms of like patents or copywriting certain things. I've obviously, like, I made it look like Serum. They could be like, look, it looks just like Serum. It's like people are going to confuse it. Then they would have like something to stand like that. They don't need to patent it or anything. They could probably sue me and like whatever. But I mean, Vital looks really different, like in terms of like style, and it's not like a clone of Serum. But yeah, it's not like a very patent heavy field, which is like why so many people can have like like very similar like ladder filters, and it's not like every feature that a synth comes out with that like there's like a new patent for it. Otherwise, like there wouldn't be any like oscillator wave warping in certain synths because Massive did it first or something like that.
Yeah. So in that sense, does that probably mean that a shitload of synths are just using the exact same filters and the exact same oscillators and stuff like that?
It's hard to say because I mean the field's really closed. They like can't look inside and see what filters people use, but I know there's like certain people who license their filters out to like different people in the field. And so I think there's like a few of the same filter running around that way. But it's like, I feel like most people create their own filters like in-house, and then they just use them over and over again. Like I know like it's like a big thing that Urs does is just create these like amazing filters. But I feel like I'm talking more like, I guess, like structure. Like you can like with filters you can have like analog models, and so a lot of really common analog models like a ladder filter, which is based on Moog's original transistor ladder filter, which I think was actually patented so at that time, which is why I guess Roland and Korg couldn't make those. They had like filters that were kind of like that. Like Roland had the diode filter, which was like kind of like a ladder filter, but that one with extra connections.
Did you make the oscillators in Vital from scratch?
Yeah, I wrote all the audio code from scratch basically for Vital. Like they're not in hell. It's like all the audio code's new, and it took a while to like make. It's weird how long it takes to make a clean sounding oscillator. It takes like a lot of effort. It doesn't seem like it would. Like when you start programming, it's really easy to make your first oscillator. It's like you could probably make it in if you're no C++, you could probably make it in like a day or two. Like make your first sound and then make your first oscillator. But then like making a really good sounding oscillator that doesn't alias or takes a long time after that.
Yeah, so I listened to an interview with Steve Duda, and he said, you've probably heard the Ableton talk he gave, right, about Serum. And he said one of the things he said in it was that when he got to the part of making oscillators, he realized he would have to go back to university and basically get a degree in calculus or whatever to like be able to do it properly. And he was like, I don't want to do that. So he paid a university student like $2,000 or whatever just to do all the maths for it. So given that you did the oscillators in Vital by yourself and they pretty much have all the same functionality and maybe even more than Serum's oscillators, does that mean that you just have like a pretty good maths background or something?
Yeah, I got a math degree in college.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Cal Poly.
Cool.
Yeah, San Luis Obispo. It's like on the coast of California. Yeah, but yeah, I guess my math degree helped. I'm trying to like it's hard to know how much my math degree helped and like how much just like reading things over the years helped. it's there's like so many approaches. I wanted to make like a little talk about all the different approaches to like anti-aliasing oscillators, because you can like kind of figure out what a synth is doing based on looking at the spectrogram and how some aliases fade in certain ways, and you can actually like you have to kind of guess, but there's like telltale signs of certain ways of doing anti-aliasing, and I wanted to do like a little talk about that. But yeah, I guess I mean, my approach is like I'm doing all this like spectral warping and stuff, which like uses harmonics, like moves harmonics around, and so I just in that same process I just chop off anything that would alias. So that's like my approach, which seems to work pretty well. Like I don't really like I have a lot of beta testers and there's no complaints, and if you look at the spectrogram, it looks super clean. So I haven't had any issues at all with the oscillators or anything like, or the filters. One thing I realized though, whilst making the preset pack for Vital, is the best way to learn a new synth is just to make 60 presets. I felt like by the end of it, or by like preset 50 or 40 even, I was like, I pretty much feel like this, I'm really comfortable with this synth now, and like I kind of know it back to front. And I never really take the time to do that, to just like, you know, over the span of a couple of days, just like pump out like 50 or 60 presets in a new synth. But like I can highly recommend that to any producer who's trying to learn a new synth. Just like make 50 or 60 presets, because then what happens, I notice, is like you sort of use up all of the basic like low-hanging fruit things of the plugin first, and then you've made 10 sounds, right? And you're like, shit, I need to make 50 more. So then you're like, fuck, well, now I have to really like dive in to learn like more of the stuff that this synth can do to actually be able to like create new and interesting sounds with it. So you start to figure out stuff like this spectral warping on the oscillator, and like, you know, dealing with the partials in the oscillator, and you know, the like stereo LFOs, and like you start figuring all that stuff out to try and get a little bit more functionality out of it. So yeah, I had a pretty good experience in that way with making the presets, and I feel really comfortable in Vital now, and I think it's a great plugin. That's good to hear, because like it's hard. I used to make video games, and we would have like these long play tests where people would come in, and I'd watch them like play the game for like 40 minutes, and that'd be like a big part of my day, is like watching people play the game, and that way you can like make sure everything like works well. Like if something's not obvious, you make it more obvious, and you basically streamline the entire the entire experience. But I don't really have a way to do that for Vital. Like I don't really have a way. Like sometimes people will stream like through Discord, and I get to watch them use it, but it's hard to like see what they're looking at. It's like I want to be in the room with somebody and like watch them use it, because I'm not sure what's up. Like I make it so like it's obvious to me, and I like take people's feedback, but it's like a lot of people don't say things, and they just like are confused about something, and they won't say it. But then if you're watching them, you can be like, oh, this is like, this should be bigger or something.
Yeah, the one thing I found to be confusing when I first used it was just that the filters, instead of having a cutoff knob, have like this fade, like bar fader type thing on it, like
I know
like a slider. And I was just for like 10 minutes or something, just like, where the fuck is the cutoff knob on this thing?
Yeah, I did break away from some common ways of doing things, and that's one of them that I feel like is very like elicits like such strong responses or opinions, is like people really want the cutoff knob, not the cutoff slider, because it's like kind of like for people who haven't looked at Vital, it's like it's an XY pad basically, where cutoff is the X and resonance is Y, and you see
it's the same as like auto filter in Ableton, really, except it doesn't have the knobs as the as the abstraction of the actual image thing. It's like instead a slider. I think the biggest problem for me is it just wasn't labeled,
right?
Because it's just a slider, and I was like looking for the word cutoff somewhere.
Right. Yeah, I feel like people are gonna like open up Vital and be like, okay, my tutorial says, you know, change the cutoff, and then it's like, where's the cutoff? So I listened to you a little bit. Now when you click on the XY pad, it shows the word cutoff. Is like little tooltips will pop up and it'll show cutoff and resonance there.
Nice. Yeah, that should make it a bit easier. So I was looking at your GitHub earlier, and there was like a bunch of stuff on there that I didn't know about that I kind of want to talk about. We've talked about Helm a little bit, but you made a few things. You made Mopo, another thing called Synth, another thing called Salad, another thing called Lisa, and then something called Twitch, but it's spelled TWYTCH.
Yeah, a few of those are like just were like Twitch was like was Helm before it was Helm. It was just like a precursor. And the other ones, like Mopo was just like a library I used in Helm. But the other ones are like kind of music or music adjacent like art projects. Like the Lisa one is like kind of was based on Lisa Jew curves.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with those?
Yeah, it's Lesage curves are kind of like something you can do with a vector scope that kind of shows you like a representation of the stereo field. Yeah,
it's just like made like a website where it like draws each sample on an XY, and then like the left is one dimension, Y is the other, so you could like create your own and rotate it around, and it's basically just like a way to create quick things like that.
Nice. And Salad sounded pretty interesting. It was like a JavaScript Chladni pattern generator.
I don't know how to pronounce that. I think it's Chladni or I don't know.
Chladni, yeah. They looked like cymatics kind of.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, cymatics like with the sand on the resonant object, and then you apply resonance to the
object. That's exactly what it is, actually. Those patterns that come out are named after that artist, mathematician, I don't know. Mathematician, maybe.
Chladni or whatever his name is.
Yeah, it's basically the resonating plate, and it's a really slowly resonating plate. Basically, what's happening in that website, and so you can like see like the waves like move in, and then become like stable after a certain amount of time, and then you can like retune it, and then it creates like these really crazy patterns.
It's so fucking crazy that happens, right? That you put a bunch of sand on like a piece of glass or whatever and vibrate it in certain frequencies, and it makes these really beautiful patterns, and then you vibrate it in other frequencies and it just looks like chaotic sand.
Right. Yeah. It's really weird, the patterns that come out of those things. You feel like it would just be like the harmonics in one dimension are all just like, just one step, it's like a very easy to understand pattern, but like with those curves, it's like really complex, and like you can't. I mean,
what I would have thought would happen, like if I'd never seen a cymatic thing before, and you just asked me for the first time ever, like, Bill, what do you think's going to happen if I put sand on this thing and vibrate it? I would say at high frequencies, the sand's going to vibrate like a tiny amount, like a millimeter. Mm-hmm. And the lower you go with the frequency, the higher the sand is going to bounce. That's what I would assume would happen. And it would just like kind of stay where it is for the most part, but sort of like, jump around, because that's what sand might do.
Yeah. Right. I think the sand like congregates certain areas because that's where it's not vibrating at all.
Oh, interesting. And it's weird that it doesn't vibrate in these like patterns, like circles.
Yeah. So like, how like a string will vibrate, like if it's like, and you'll have like, I'm going to show it with my hands, but people can't see that. But like you'll have like one node and one trough, I guess, and then they'll like alternate like that. If it's vibrating in the center piece, like if that's like the center of that is not actually moving at all. And so the sand gets like kind of pushed there.
Huh, interesting. So it's kind of like the object has its own zero crossings.
Yeah, so it's like it's like basically the sand goes to those zero areas, those like node areas. I think that's what's happening in those curves.
That would make sense.
So it's like resonating, and then like there's certain spots where it's like it doesn't actually move at all, and so that's where the sand goes.
Yeah, that makes sense. So there was another thing, synth, that said, and I didn't even understand this explanation at all, but it says GNU N-Curses Terminal Synthesizer. I don't know what that means at all.
Oh my gosh, that was like, I don't know. I thought it was like, let's see, how do I say it? It's basically like a synth that runs inside a terminal. And if you don't know what a terminal is, it's basically it's like a command line. So you open up your command line and to like, type whatever, and you can launch this synthesizer inside of it. And it's all ASCII. It's all ASCII art. So like all the sliders are all just generated with ASCII, and the logo is ASCII, and it's all generated like that way. So you don't need like a actual, it's not an actual GUI. It's like all just text, but it makes like a little synth.
Yeah. Have you ever used the synth Sonic Pi?
Sonic Pi.
It's the same kind of. It's the same thing. It's where it doesn't have like a proper GUI. You just sort of like type lines of code that some guy created. Although the code is like all just like arbitrarily sort of assigned to Sonic Pi to actually trigger another piece of code.
Is that for the Raspberry Pi? Is that what?
I think it like might have been based off that, but I mean it's just a piece of software you can install on your computer, and you basically just write these like short lines of simple code to create music. But it's pretty annoying to write music that way. Yeah. It seems like the only person who can do it is the guy who made the program.
There are some like really interesting like text programming languages that are just geared toward making music. Like for a while, I was really into Super Collider. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I have heard of Super Collider. Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I heard of them is because they had this really cool. I guess it was like a competition where they would make songs in under 140 characters.
Oh, interesting. That's kind of like demo scene stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's very similar. Yeah, but it's really crazy the stuff that came out of it. Like, I keep listening to them. Like, I keep going back like years later. This is like, I don't know, it's probably like 10 years ago now. But I keep going back and like listening to them. They're like really, just like, I don't understand at all, because like they're almost illegible because they're like, compressed so much. Like a variable is like one letter, and so you can't really understand what's going on. But it's like very,
like you can't understand what's going on in the code or in the music.
In the code, in the music, it's like, I mean, it's some of them are like really basic, but then other ones are like really complex, and they use like these random chaotic patterns, and like they basically found like a pattern in, because it's a way you generate random numbers is like you can seed it, and then you get a pattern. So like you can like generate the same random pattern if you just like give it a number like 10 all the time, and you can generate the same random pattern. And so like they probably found a really good pattern with that was like this one number, and then they like put that number in and then generate the music based on that.
Interesting. Speaking of randomization in music, you might be an interesting person to talk to about AI in music. So I've kind of been thinking for a long time now, probably like this is something that I've been pretty semi-interested in for like 4 or 5 years now, is the idea that like AI could write music to the level of a like human, right? Because I understand obviously what goes into the electronic music writing processes. I've done that a lot, and I understand that it's like thousands and thousands of decisions that you have to make to get from no thing at all to like a finished piece of music. But the more I think about it, the more I think like I do similar things all the time, and I only have like, a limited set of things to pick from, like samples and VSTs. And there's only like a limited amount of stuff that the software I'm using can even do. Although there is some like weird random things that I think would be hard for a computer to do, like go outside and record some field recording and bring it inside and have like a really bespoke recording or something in a piece of music that no one else has ever used because I just recorded it or something like that. But it, in saying that, it's like, what's the difference to a computer if it just knows what the spectral profile of something is and it can just like recreate it out of sine waves, like it doesn't really matter. It's like, I know every now and then you bring in a spectral profile like this from the outside, so I'll just recreate that with sine waves. So it's something I've been interested in for a while. What's your sort of view on AI music?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an AI expert at all.
Me either.
But yeah, it's like a whole other field that I haven't really touched. But I do have some thoughts on it because I've generated music before, and like I follow like the scene, like the AI scene, like what the images that are coming out of like Google's what was that thing? Yeah,
Deep
all
Dream.
that stuff.
Have you heard of what's it called? This is not a real person.com.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I think
You just every
I
time
saw
you
you post it somewhere.
Yeah, I posted it on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Every time you refresh the page, it just generates a picture of a new human being that is
Right.
like not a photograph of a human being, but it looks like identical. Like you would, if you just showed that image to someone, they'd be like, and said, "Is this a person?" They'd just be like, "Yeah, of course, like it's a person. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, that stuff's creepy because it's like so new and like you photograph is like a photograph right. I mean, it's becoming less and less so, but it's like proof that something happened. But now it's like you can generate that, you know. But yeah, that stuff's creepy. But to get back to
deep
what
fakes.
What?
Deep fakes. Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
talk
right.
about
The
that.
deep
Sorry, go
fakes.
on.
Yeah. But to get back to what you were saying about like AI and music, and I've heard you ask this question to a few people, but like, can like AI like create like a Mr. Bill track? I'm not convinced that that's ever going to happen. I mean, I like if you make enough tracks, I feel like an AI could like listen to all your tracks and then make another thing that I might have made. That's like possible, but I don't think you're not, creating just like this space of music. You're like expanding on it every single time.
But I mean,
guess,
AI learns too, right? But it's hard to say like if it would learn in the exact same way that I would because of the experiences that I have versus its own sort of machine learning.
Yeah, I guess I like thinking like the way like a lot of current AI works. I feel like is kind of how your subconscious mind works. Like for example, you say you're creating some music and you decide that you want this snare to like have a certain EQ on it. That is like, there's like, you've repeated it so many times that you now can like create something. You like have this whole experience to like pull off of. Mm-hmm. And then now you can like, you know exactly what to do. Like maybe it's just like a dumb example, but it's like the subconscious mind does like a lot of things that are that you do in repetitive things. Like you look at something and you recognize it. That's like happening. It's not happening consciously. It's happening like behind the scenes.
Right. You're saying like things that just sort of become second nature to you in the process.
Yeah.
Like I don't really think about hitting Control F and searching for a sample, and I don't really think that hard about like making a kick drum or something because I've just done it a lot.
Exactly. So like I feel like AI now currently like with like the neural nets and machine learning is that they're really good at being a subconscious in some ways. Like they're bad in other ways, but like they're really good at like I feel like what you think about your own subconscious that you're training your subconscious. Like you decide to do certain things and it like I would decide to play guitar every single day, and so you get this muscle memory and like now your body can do it, but like you consciously aren't like put the finger here, put the finger there. Your subconscious is like helping you along the way.
Like muscle memory and stuff.
Yeah, like after you've trained your subconscious to do it. Mm-hmm. I feel like that the current AI is like a really good subconscious, like things you can train it. And so things you would train yourself to do, you can actually, I feel like now you could, with like the next like level of AI is you're going to be able to train that to do something that you want to do. But it's never going to, or at least with the current like technology, it's never going to tell you if something's good or something is like, you should do something. Like
right,
it's always,
I mean, the arbiter of good is like, there's 7 billion arbiters of good on the earth, Like there's no way to measure like what good is what I'm trying to say.
I feel like you don't think there's like some objectivity with what's good?
No, I think if there's Trump voters and there's people who listen to like chaotic noise music, then there's definitely like a wide range of goods that I can't understand.
I mean, I feel like on the full spectrum, like almost all sound, if you like think about all sound, it's like almost all of it's like just white noise or like noise. But
Well,
then
it's all noise with a bunch of shit subtracted from it, right?
right, sure.
Like if you just take full white noise and then subtract a lot of the spectrum, it maybe makes a song.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I feel like even if quality is like subjective, though, I feel like that even more says a computer can't do that, because if it's subjective to the computer, it doesn't matter. Because
it could only do something on the algorithm or the set of data that it's trained on, right? So it's kind of like if it was able to like observe my process, like as I'm sort of clicking through Windows all the time and doing my own shit. If it was able to observe the whole, like what decisions I make constantly during whenever Ableton.exe is open, then I think it could build a data set over a long period of time that it could learn from and do stuff from. And then also if it just say I looked at all of my tracks, it could do the same thing. But rather than thinking about whether or not the things that would create are good or bad, I think it could create something that sounded like me.
Yeah, I agree that it could definitely learn how you do something and then try and make something from that, make something that's based that it learned to do from you. I think there's this really amazing AI that creates death metal, generated death metal. Have you listened to it?
I've not, but I've heard that voice generator thing that the guy ran through Jay-Z's voice and had it read out the Navy SEAL copy pasta thing, and then it was so accurate to Jay-Z's voice that they got a copyright strike for it.
That's crazy. Yeah, but that stuff is amazing. But I mean, you listen to it for long enough that you're oh, I hear the pattern. But I don't know. I feel like AI is really bad at, it's good at copying and things like that, but it's never gonna be, or at least with current AI, it's never going to be oh, this is novel and good.
But what about in chess, where it's become so novel and good that it's rated 1,000 points higher than any human being?
Well, we've trained it to tell it what's good. It has a really simple rule of what's good. It's just if you win, that's good. But
it knows what's objectively good in that case to a level higher than humans know what's objectively good, because it's a zero-sum game, right? So that's kind of a good example, I think.
I mean, if you win, I feel like it's both humans and computer will agree that it's good, right?
Yeah, I mean, with something like chess, right, where it's a zero-sum game, what is good is to checkmate the opponent or make them resign, because you're going to checkmate them soon, right? Yeah. So in the case of chess and AI, they kind of figured out how to make it beat the best human, which was Garry Kasparov in 1996 or something like that.
Yeah. I think I've watched that game or those games at some point. But yeah, it's crazy how that was
But I don't think they told the engine what was good. I think they fed it a bunch of games and then said just figure out the point yourself kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, with an AI like that, with a neural net, you have to have some training set. You have to be this. You have to say what's good and what's bad. And so the humans tell it what's good and what's basically I think what they do is they play the game. The thing is playing a bunch of games against itself.
Right. Yeah. To go back to what you were saying about why you don't think AI music, for instance, would ever happen. The main reason I don't think it would happen is just because there's not a lot of reward for doing that. I think the only rewarding thing for it is if you made a lo-fi hip hop generator to run on YouTube 24/7 for stream revenue or something like that.
Right.
That'll maybe be one reason. Or if you just wanted to make a shitload of free music for advertisers to use or something like that. But that'd be kind of horrible, because that'd put a lot of musicians out of jobs.
Yeah, I do feel I do think that AI is going to change music, but I feel it's gonna be more of a tool and less of a replacement. So it'll just be you are now controlling this really powerful AI, and you tell it what to do.
Well, that's kind of happening now, right? Because you have like a lot of these people who, like, for instance, the plugin by Acusonus Regroover, they say that uses AI in some way to like split the stems out of it. I mean, that term AI gets thrown around a lot in some of those generation plugins. Like there's another one called Ohm something. What's it called? I can't remember, but it's like it's kind of like a chord generator where you like say, I want to have a D sharp minor chord progression with this much randomization and this much stuff, and it just generates it. And they throw the word AI around for that stuff too. But even, I mean, I don't think that would require AI to do really.
Yeah, I feel like people just use it because it's like super catchy.
Yeah, it's like a buzzword or whatever.
Right. I mean, I feel like once there's a really good AI that's like consumer grade, we're gonna like really know about it.
Well, I mean, there kind of is, right? Because like there's like the whole deep fakes thing happening now where people can just like download some software off the internet and create a baby's head accurately posted onto Elon Musk's body smoking a joint on the Joe Rogan show or whatever, you know.
Okay. Is that actually true? I haven't seen that.
Yeah, that's a thing that exists on YouTube that somebody just in their bedroom made.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was talking like audio specifically. I mean, I think there was something that seemed really cool. I haven't tried. I think it was XO or.
Oh yeah, the sample map thing.
Yeah. Have you tried that?
I have, yeah, and I've tried similar things too. I think it's really, really cool that you feed it. So for people who don't know what it is, the GUI just looks like a black empty window, and then you feed it a corpus, so like a giant set of samples, and then it will split those samples from the folder you feed it up into like colors and an XY grid, and you can kind of like click through this like big grid of mini dots. Where, you know, certain areas of it are all your kick drums and certain areas are all your hi-hats and certain areas are all your snares and so on. And going like up and down will, I think, do pitch, and left and right will do like timbre and length or something like that. So it's kind of like you can just like drag through this big sample map and find a sample that you really want quickly. And then if you find one that you really like, then dragging your mouse just around that small area will give you a bunch of other results that are very similar to that one.
Yeah, that app seemed really cool. I don't have a big enough sample library myself to like for it to be like really useful to me, but it seemed really cool when I was like looking at all the demos of it. I'm not sure if that's actually machine learning or like they analyze samples and like create some interesting space that they can cluster these sounds together.
Yeah, how does it know that like what samples are what?
I mean, I would assume that they just like they measure something in each sample, and then they create like it'll be like, you know, something about its timbre, something about its, and it'll like they'll map each of these in a different dimension, and they can cluster things together. So it's like simplifying. Like a sample is a really complicated value. It's like every single sample is its own value, and so you're trying to like put that on like a really simple space. So I guess I know neural nets do things like that. I know that I think that's how the image recognition works, and like you can be like feed it a bird and be like, this is a bird because it's seen enough birds, and it can group that. It can like cluster and like learn. And I think it does like feature extraction, which like really simplifies a sample, like an image or a sample. But I don't know if Exo is doing that. I want to look into that a bit.
Yeah, I don't think it's like synthesizing anything. I think it's just like organizing in a big grid or sample map kind of thing, like which samples are which, and sort of groups them visually. Speaking of generated stuff, you have like some generated poetry on your website, right?
Yeah. Did you read that?
I didn't read it, but I read like a couple of lines, but I just sort of kind of saw that it was what it was, like generated poetry, and I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. Could be something cool to talk about. So like, what's the process for making that?
It's actually really simple. It basically is, I can tell you, the program's like extremely simple. It basically looks through millions of poems, and then records like every 5 words and like puts into a big database. So now you have like a huge database of like groups of 5 words. And then when it wants to generate something, it picks a random word. And it's okay, what comes after this word?
A random word or a random grouping of 5 words?
You'll just start with like 1 word, and then it'll generate 1 word. And then eventually you have 5 words, and it's like, okay, what follows the last 4 words of this poem? And then it'll just generate the 5th word. And then it'll be like, okay, now what comes after the next 4? At the last, it's like you're taking basically the last 4 words of your poem and then generating the next one based on this huge database. Which is like really simple. I mean, the first one would just actually spit out a poem. Like the first thing I made would actually just spit out like the poem verbatim. But then like you just say, don't generate, don't use these words because that was part of this poem, and then it'll deviate.
Right. But do you have to like do any input to start it generating, or do you have to intervene at all through the process to finish it? Or it would just spit out it. Like I would like sit at my computer. Like when I made this, I would just like sit at my computer and read it as it was like generating it, and see if anything interesting popped out. And basically these poems are just like, I find like this like phrase, this like 2 sentences that sounds like really good, and I like crop that out and put it into a poem. And I did that a few times, and each poem is like probably like 2 or 3 clippings from this like mass amount of text. That gives me 2 ideas. One idea is Brian Eno's tips for writing music, whatever it's called. What's that Brian Eno thing? It's anyway, it's like a bunch of it's called Oblique Strategies, I think, or something, where there's like a bunch of cards and they have ideas for like how to generate creativity, but they're all sort of like old school now, where it's stuff like I'll just like Google it and read you some. Brian Eno Oblique Strategies. Okay, so like one of them is discard an axiom. Another one is go outside, shut the door. Another one is let's see.
Discard an axiom. Like,
yeah,
that's
make
so
of that
vague
what you will.
enough to work.
Another one says, what wouldn't you do? Another one says, abandon normal instruments. And another one says, ghost echoes. So it's like just a bunch of things that are supposed to like incite creativity during the creative process.
That's cool. I like that.
Right. So one idea that came to mind when you're talking about a poem generator is like, just instead of giving it a database of poems, give it a database of shit like Brian Eno's Oblique Strategies, and have it just like pump out sort of messages that might give you ideas. And then the other thing that I had an idea for is that game where you like somebody folds a piece of paper into 3 and you draw the legs, and then they draw like the body, and then you draw the head. It's called like Exquisite Corpse.
Yeah, Exquisite Corpse, right?
Yeah, it could be something like that too, right? Where like and that's what I originally thought you were saying, is that the thing would pick 5 words, and then you'd write 5, and then it would write 5, and then you'd write 5 or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess they do that with poetry also. Like you see the last line, and then you write I'm not sure if they call that Exquisite Corpse also, but that's like that'd be like a fun way to to create something. That's something I really like doing, because I get so bored with myself. I get really bored. It's just like I make something and like I listen to it a few times and I'm like, okay, this is garbage. But like interacting with computer, it feels like more, I don't know, inspiring. Or maybe I should use the Brian Eno's.
I agree. Yeah, it's awesome, I think, to treat the computer as like another collaborator that has some input as well, and treat its input as sort of as valid as another human collaborator's input would be. I definitely do
you
that
can't
a lot.
throw anything out the computer makes.
Well, to a degree.
Right.
I never say you can't do anything in the creative process, right?
Right, of course.
Although creative limitation is good, I think at some point in the process, if you know something is better for the track, but it goes against the sort of barriers you've put up for yourself to kind of generate creativity in the first place, then you should always just be like, fuck it, I'm going to do the thing that makes the track better. Because like the idea was to generate the creativity in the first place. And if you're getting an idea that would make the track better, then you've generated creativity, and therefore that generation technique worked, and you don't need it anymore.
Exactly. That was you. Yeah. Like you don't want to prioritize the process over the end goal.
Except for when you do, right? Like, just for lols or whatever, like want to prioritize the process, just like, oh yeah, I made this whole tune with my ass, or like some dumb shit. Speaking of like randomization stuff, it seems to be a thing that you're super into, but I noticed Vital doesn't really have anything like that in it. Is that something that you'd maybe want to add to it at some point?
Well, it's got the random section. It's like a random modulator. Which has like a few different modes. It has like a sample and hold, obviously, but it has like things like Perlin noise, which is more like a thing you see in video games, which is like kind of generates like a noise, like smooth noise at a frequency. But so it has those randomizations in it. But I think you might be talking about randomizing controls in the synthesizer.
Yeah. You just cut out again.
All right.
I mean, I think we've got like enough to make a podcast out of anyway. I think like what we talked about was really interesting and cool. I think people will find it super interesting. But yeah, I guess like to end it, I mean, people once this is out, Vital will be at least announced. So what's the best place for people to go to like find out more about it and get notified of when it's available for download, of which it will be free download, and all of that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, the website is vital.audio. I got like one of those expensive .audio top level domains. But yeah, you can just go there. You can also like follow me on Twitter, which is Matt Tytel, Tytel. And I like that's like where I post most of my like video teasers and like announce stuff like that. But yeah, basically the website, and yeah, the information will be there of like when it's coming out, and like it'll have like I've got a video like showing the interface and showing all like the like teasing some of the features. But I think at that point, when this comes out, I'm going to be opening up streaming for people who have Vital already. Like I have a good sized number of people who have like been using Vital for a long time, and they all want to like start streaming it and like showing it off to people. So I think I might open that up so you might be able to see it.
Oh, nice. In that case, I stream on Twitch all the time. I'll happily go on there and stream my use of Vital.
Yeah, so tune into Mr. Bill's Twitch, and then you can see Vital in action. That's about it for content. I have like a little press kit I'm going to send around, so hopefully it'll be like on blogs and things like that also.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, thanks a lot for coming on. It's
thanks for having me.
Really good chatting to you.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, but maybe when I'm in San Francisco, we can like grab a beer in a park or something.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, I come to San Francisco every once in a while, but
yeah, don't you live in Oakland?
Yeah, I'm in Vermont right now. Actually, I'm like out in like the woods basically, but I usually live in Oakland. So, I'm actually coming back in December. I've been living here for a long time, but I'm coming back in December. So, I'll let you know when I'm back, and we can maybe meet up. Nice.
Yeah, what are you doing in Vermont?
Basically, my partner's parents have this house in like really rural Vermont. It's like really amazing to have space because I live in like a 1-bedroom in Oakland, and we were both working from home, so it's kind of crazy. But yeah, now we're just we're in like it's like a much bigger house, and we have like this like we live next to this outdoor center which has like a network of trails, and so we just like go on the trails all the time. And I picked up like I know you like mountain bike, right?
Oh, dude, I fucking love mountain biking. Have you been mountain biking?
Yeah, I've been mountain bike. Well, it snowed, so I can't really mountain bike anymore. But I was mountain biking, until I got into like an accident, and
Oh yeah, that'll happen mountain biking for sure.
I messed up my face really bad. So
Oh shit, when?
it was like a month ago, maybe a little more than a month ago, but it's almost all healed now. I still have a scar on my forehead, but I just like, they have like these like, I guess they're like bridges. They're like, like handmade, like wood.
Like wood, yeah.
Yeah. And I just like, there was like one that went through like 2 trees, and my handlebar just like clipped one of the trees, and I fell off the bridge onto my face. But
yeah, you got to be careful of the pedals and the handlebars clipping on the sides of shit.
yeah, and you're facing in the ground. That's
Yeah, you got to be careful of that for sure.
I just did like a nosedive. It was like I was like trying to ride it. I was like, oh, maybe I can ride it out, and then I had my hands were still on the handlebars when I like hit the ground, so it was pretty bad. But
yeah, maybe have you got a full face helmet?
No, my face was really scratched up.
So you got a full face helmet, you would have been all right.
Right. It's not downhill, so it's just like more trail riding. But yeah, maybe I should have had a full face one, because
yeah, I don't have a full face one, but yeah, a lot of people have been telling me to get one.
Yeah, if you're doing downhill, do you do downhill or do you do like more trail riding?
I try to go for like flow trails if I can, like stuff that's like not super rocky and not super like not a lot of drops and crazy shit, but more or less just like lots of berms and kind of like rolling jumps and stuff like that. I really like that stuff. But yeah, I had a few accidents a couple of weeks ago on a trail, and I think I bruised one of my ribs and definitely bruised up my knees and legs a bit.
Well, as long as nothing's broken, I guess.
I don't think anything's broken, but like I thought my rib was broken, and then I realized like after just doing a bunch of Googling that it's probably not broken. It's probably what's called a bruised rib, which is still annoying, but yeah, and it still hurts. And this was like a month ago.
Yeah. I've gotten into so many accidents. Like I feel like I don't know if I'm just like taking too many risks. I probably should take it easy.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of fucked though, right? Because like mountain biking is so fun when you're sort of riding a little bit on the edge, but there's like a fine balance, right? Because you want to ride on the edge and take a little bit of risk because you want to get better, and that's the only way to get better. But you also don't want to like ride out of your skill level to the point where you're like fucking yourself up all the time.
Yeah, I think that's what I was doing.
Yeah, I try to not do that as well, but it's tempting, right? When you see something that's where you're like, your confidence is up because you haven't had an accident in like a couple of months or a month or whatever, and then you've been hitting stuff faster and faster, and you've been fine, and your skill levels are building and all of that kind of stuff, and then you're like, oh, I'd probably be fine hitting this thing, and then you have an accident.
Yeah, that's how everything has happened. I'm like, I'm feeling so good, and then boom, it's like really really knocks you down a notch.
Yeah, and then your confidence, you have to rebuild it all again.
Yeah, then I stopped biking for a few days, and then it's hard to like, the last bike was like my accident, and then like it's hard to get back on. I mean, it's snowing here, so I don't know if I'll be doing much more of that. But I do have some like cross country skis. I might take that up. I think it's more low impact than mountain biking.
That sounds pretty fun. I've never done cross country skiing. What's the appeal to it?
I don't know. You get to see a lot of the forest, and it's just kind of like, it's like these around here they groom the trails. They're like really, really packed. So it's kind of like, it's almost like ice. Like I got these like skate skis, so like it's kind of like ice skating, but it's like you're on skis and you like basically like zoom around, and you can go like the trails here go for like 30 miles, so you can like really go places, and you go fast. So it's kind of like a way to get around and a way to see a lot in the winter. So
yeah, that's awesome. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Sick, man. All right. Well, yeah, if you just send me over your audio, I can compile it all into a session, and then I'll send that session to my podcast editor, Robert, and I'll CC you on that email. And then that email will sort of serve as the like thread where everything happens in regards to this podcast's release.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Cool, man. All right. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Mr. Bill podcast. These episodes are edited and uploaded twice a week by Robert Fumo of 303podpro.com. You can also support the show, get early access to episodes, and hear bonus content by going to patreon.com/Mr. Bill's Tunes and becoming a patron. Please rate and review on iTunes unless you're going to be a little shit about it. And all the links to my various platforms are at MrBillsTunes.com. Thank you.